What is going on, guys? My name is Phamily Shucks and welcome back to another episode of Clash of Clans. Today I'm going to be bringing you guys a new kind of video series that I had in mind. I asked my clanmates around for a video title for this series, and props to my clanmate Destruction for giving me the idea of calling it Plan and Produce. So that's what I'm going for this video and for this series. So the whole concept of this video is to basically show you guys my attacks and clan wars on a Town 10 and managing to get the 3-star, and show you guys the plan, how I decide to approach it, and my thoughts on the base, and then afterwards showing you guys how I decide to execute it in the replay. So I am attacking this base with a Shatter LaLoon, and my composition involves 2 golems, 3 hounds, 1 in the clan castle, 20 loons, 4 wizards, and 2 minions. Now I decided to bring 2 minions instead of 2 wall breakers, which is usually in a typical Shattered composition, because I wasn't really breaking into any compartments on the space. I'm mainly using a jump spell in order to access whatever compartments that I want to access, and the minions were there in order to help with cleanup. Usually I like minions because they're able to target any kind of building rather than goblins, even though goblins do take out resource buildings pretty quickly. So I am attacking this base from the bottom because I want to target that Inferno Tower as well as the Arch Queen, because I know that the Arch Queen will start to walk over once my hybrid gets inside this base. So I'm placing, well actually let's start by placing the Teslas right there. Pretty common Tesla placements, pretty expected. I wouldn't expect them to be anywhere else. Probably useless if they placed giant bombs in there instead of Teslas. But I placed the golems, my golems right here, one on the left hand side, one on the right hand side. Now the angle of this right hand golem was pretty important. If I came in from here, I don't think it would start to loop around to this other cannon, and that's what I want. I want both golems to go into the center. So because I placed it at this corner, this Tesla pops up due to this golem right here. So it allowed for my golems to be attracted once I placed down my jump spell. So for the funnel, there wasn't a lot of trash ring on the outside, so I only really had to focus on this wizard tower right here with 1 wizard, 1 on the dark spell, 1 on the builder hut, and 1 on the elixir collector. Now it was pretty important for this arch tower to go down, because once that goes down, my golem will begin to recognize that there's no defense in this compartment and will begin to loop around. So once that arch tower went down, that's when I decided to place my arch queen down, because I want to eliminate this trash ring as fast as possible, so that way it allows for my barbarian king to get into this base without having to be distracted on any of the buildings. And if it does get distracted on any other buildings, it would get targeted by pretty high level point defenses and probably get taken out. So because this golem decided to redirect, that is when I placed my jump spell. Now the jump spell was pretty important because I had to access all 4 of these compartments. So you got the sweeper on the left hand side, air defense and wizard tower on the right hand side, Tesla in the front, and the core with the arch queen, the Inferno Tower, and the Expo inside that core, which was pretty important for me because that was the target of this hybrid attack. So once I placed down my jump spell, I placed down my poison spell right here. Now the reason I placed my poison spell right here was obviously because the clan castle was beginning to coming out, but I noticed the angle of the clan castle, because once I placed down my jump spell, the golems redirected inside here, and then each one went into their own separate compartment. So the left hand side golem went to the left hand compartment, and then the right hand golem went into the right hand compartment. So the right hand golem was sitting on that wizard tower, and I wanted to place my jump spell in order to take out as much as the clan castle as possible. And obviously, as you guys know, level 1 poison can still kill a majority of max level troops. So I wanted to place it far enough back in order to take out that witch, so that way it doesn't spawn any more skellies. Now, once the poison spell went down, I quickly placed my barbarian king in order to go in here. Now the reason I staggered his placement aside from the arch queen is because the barbarian king does a lot of damage on the hybrid attack. I want to save his health as much as possible because he is the one who's going to be taking out the arch queen. So the arch queen does get attracted to the barbarian king, so he loops over and then goes to the barbarian king, because the barbarian king, the enemy of barbarian king, sees that they want to make love or something, I don't know. But anyways, my barbarian king dies, and with this hybrid setup, I take out a good majority of this base. So with white, I'm going to label everything that I do manage to take out on this hybrid attack before I begin my LaLoon. So you got the couple of trash rings right here, the Tesla, the cannon, the sweeper, which is pretty important as well because I was working in a clockwise motion, so I want to focus on being or making sure that all my loons went the same way, because you kind of want them to meet up in the same point in order to take out as much defenses as fast as possible, or at the same time have two large groups of loons. So let's carry on. I decided to take out that arch tower, cannon, mortar, the air defense, the Expo, Inferno Tower, take out the Queen, not this far Expo. I think one of these storages went down, not quite sure, but both of these storages on this left-hand side went down. So as you guys can see, I took out probably a 1/4 of this base with just low-level 30 plus heroes. Now my heroes are 33 Arch Queen and 30 Barbarian King, and that is a lot of damage done on this base, especially since this guy has pretty much close to max defense. So I was pretty happy with that. I didn't manage to get the Town Hall, but I did manage to get all of these X's right here. So that is a huge portion of this base. So my Archqueen had to clutch it at the end. I had to use her ability really close when she was in red health in order for her to target that Inferno Tower, because I really wanted that Inferno Tower to go down. Now, I would like to tell you guys about my spell composition. So what I initially planned for this base was 3 rage, 1 freeze, 1 jump, and 1 poison. But what I went in with this attack was 2 rage, 2 freeze, 1 jump, and 1 poison, excuse me. And I didn't change my plan at the end. I instead forgot that I decided to change my spell composition beforehand, because I pre-trained my spells before I decided to attack, because that's usually what I run with on a standard LaLoon composition, 2 rage and 2 freeze. But for this raid specifically, because I managed to take out that Inferno Tower, I didn't need that second freeze. So I planned to bring 3 rage, and when this replay was happening, or when this attack was happening, I completely shit myself, and I was worried where my third rage was, because I didn't know where it was. I thought I planned, I had a huge bunch of planning, and then it wasn't there, so I had to improvise at the end. So luckily, I did manage to save a couple loons for back end, and that helped me out a ton. So you'll see that in the replay, but without further ado, let's just jump right back into the hound and loon placement. So for the hound, I decided to, oh, that is still white. Oh, that's still white also. So I am going to be using purple for the hounds, and probably, what's a good color? Let's use red for the loons, because we didn't have a lot of red on this. So the first hound will come in from this angle right here, and basically it allows for me to pop up one of this Teslas, as well as take the targeting of this top archer tower right here onto the hound. So I placed 4 loons right here, 3 loons right here, because of the speed of the hound, and when the Tesla popped, a couple loons did get targeted when I placed them right here by this arch tower, so that was pretty unfortunate. But once I recognized that, I placed my second hound down right here. Now, personally for me, I found it really important to place 2 hounds on the first air defense. Now, that's just personal preference. I'll see a lot of people do a single hound on each air defense, and it seems to work, but I think for a majority of Shatter LaLoon attacks, they place 2 hounds on the first air defense and then work from there. So the second hound goes down, and I place a couple loons right here. To be honest, I don't really keep track of the loon count. I kind of just go along the way, and I placed a higher loon up here, a couple loons right there. Now the reason I placed it higher than the other ones is because I want the speed of the loons to match up perfectly with the rest of the loons, so that way they all meet up at this point. Now I want them to meet up at this point right here, because that is the deadly part. It has the air defense, wizard tower, sweeper, and the Inferno Tower all right next to each other, and I don't want my loons clumping up. I want them clumping up, but not so that way they get targeted at the same time and just get completely demolished. You'll see that in the replay, and you'll see how I deal with that. But the loons go down up there, so that way they target this mortar right here and also meet up with the rest of the loons. So I want my loons to go in a counterclockwise motion. So the entire raid of my loons are going this way, like that, like that. Let's see if you guys can see that. So that is a huge advantage for me, knowing that where I want to path my loons is going to happen. So once my loons start pathing their way towards this second air defense, that's when I drop my third and final hound on right here. Now what this does is it also pops this Tesla right here and also focuses the target of the air defense, the two archer towers, the wizard tower, and basically this whole L shape right here. Now I had to really focus on this with my freeze, so once my third hound started to become a little bit weak, I placed my freeze right there. Now I forgot to mention the rage placements in the beginning, so I'll use yellow for that. And I wanted to accelerate my loons into this first air defense. So place it right there, that is a rage. That allowed for my loons to start making movement past the wizard tower, not take as much damage, and take out the air defense as fast as possible, as well as the expo right there in the core. Now because I didn't have my third rage, I only had two, I wanted to place my second rage kind of right here. Now what this allows is so that way the loons up here start targeting into here, and they also speed up with the rest of the loons, so that way the loons from the first deployment speed up and never continuously, or actually they continuously never stop moving. And I wanted to, so that way it sits on the Inferno Tower. Including the rage on the Inferno Tower is a big thing because that allows them to speed into the Inferno Tower and take them down as fast as possible. Now this was a very high value freeze right here, so I've timed it, as I said before, I've timed it so that way it took out or it disabled those four defenses as my hound was starting to get a little bit weaker. So I did place a couple loons right from the top. I think I could place like 3 loons up here, a couple loons on this Tesla, so that way they could all converge into the Inferno Tower, Wizard Tower, Air Defense, Sweeper area. So that was a very high value freeze, and that stalled it enough time so that way the rest of the loons could catch up. And I wanted to save the rest of my loons, or a couple loons for this, and also for back end right here. But I decided to scrap that plan. I had 3 loons left over, and as my loons were making their way towards here, that is when I realized that I did not have my third rage. That is the moment where I shit myself, so I had to improvise. So once my loons were making their way towards this area, I froze this, because this is another high value freeze. Now this is why when you design a base design, or this is when you design a clan war base, you don't want to have high value freezes like this. You don't want to have your base being able to be frozen, or you don't want your base to have defenses or crucial defenses frozen at the same time, which allows you to get 3-star. So because this was frozen, the archer tower right here on the backhand side was starting to target the loons, and I placed 2 loons right here and 1 loon right there on the Tesla, so that way they could help converge together. And basically that wrapped it up for this attack, or yeah, that basically wrapped it up for this plan and for this attack. So without further ado, take a good look at this and see how messy it is. But this is how I plan for every single one of my attacks, usually, depending if I go for the 3-star or just for the simple 2-star. So without further ado, let's just jump right into the replay. Alrighty guys, we are back with the replay. So hopefully that plan wasn't as messy as I thought it was, and hopefully I did a sufficient enough job without messing up as much in order to explain my thought process throughout that whole entire raid and my initial plan for that raid. So as a reminder, I am attacking this base with a Shatter LaLoon, so that composition involves 2 golems, 3 hounds, 4 wizards, 2 minions, and 20 loons. Now, as a reminder, I am bringing 2 minions instead of 2 wall breakers because I'm not breaking into this base with any in any of its compartments. But the Barbarian King went down, I staggered his placement as I said previously, and I placed down the poison spell, which sat perfectly on every single one of those Clan Castle troops, which took them out in a matter of time. So I activated my Barbarian King a little bit early so that way he could have enough health in order to push through that base, take out the Arch Queen, and do a little bit more damage and distraction for my Arch Queen to sit back and take out all of these defenses. So the I was kind of worried that the Dark Elixir storage would not go down in time because my level 33 Arch Queen is not as powerful as it seems. Like, she's good, but she's not good. And I got really lucky because I didn't notice this from before, but my Arch Queen manages to take out that Inferno Tower as well as work on that last air defense. Now that was pretty clutch right there. And what I forgot to mention during this plan is that this base had all 3 Skelly traps set to air. So a lot of my clanmates were discouraged in order for me to attack this base because they were scared that I might fail. And luckily, I had enough pops pop in order to push me through and take out those air skellies. Now my loons are working their way fast around the space. The freeze went down, the very high value freeze, and you can see right there that none of my pups are attracted to those last couple those air skellies right there. So that had me really worried, but luckily I still had a couple minions left, and luckily those skellies were still focused on the loons when I placed down my minions. So I placed 1 minion on the bottom, but that minion up at the army camp helped take out the rest of the skellies, so that way it didn't kill too much of my loons, and so that I had plenty of time left in order for cleanup. So from right now, the entire base is decimated. All I have to do is clean up, and it's just me versus time. There's 30 seconds left, and I think I had a couple seconds left to spare on this raid, and there's just a bunch of loons left, as well as a couple pups. They're focused on the Barbarian King. I don't know why they do that. There's no point in them doing that. But a bunch of the pups collect, as well as one of my minions. And that basically wraps it up for this raid. So, thank you guys all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.